everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Life After Kids with Doctors Brooke and Lynn. I'm Dr. Brooke.
And I'm Dr. Lynn.
Thank you for joining us. I can actually say, I say this every single time, but today I'm excited about this conversation.
So were you lying to us the last time?
I was probably making it a little better than it was.
No, this is a fun
This
conversation.
is a really fun
It's
conversation.
about planning a girls' night out or a girls' trip.
Yes.
We're going to talk about both.
I'm so excited. I love this conversation. I say that every time
How
too.
it's not a fun conversation.
It is
though.
a fun conversation, and we need to make more time for this if we're not already doing so. And many of you talk about struggling with finding female connections and friendships. That's another topic of discussion.
Yes.
But this might be that maybe this is gonna light a little fire under you if you are struggling with that to reach out to someone and plan a night out with
Yeah,
them. Maybe
well-
not a trip, but
Maybe you would. Though,
maybe.
because actually when I sit down and prep all of our podcast topics, as you
Yep.
know, and I first thought, well, I'm not going to have a lot to say on this one. And when I got writing, I think I have like some of
Look
the
at
most
you.
on here that I do for any of our topics. So we have a lot of really practical things to like help you
Amazing.
make this happen, because the unfortunate obstacle to this is that women are a little bit like herding cats to get to go do things. So
Yeah.
don't take it personally. If you've been trying, we know a lot of you comment, well, I've really been trying. I extend invites. I, try to get
Everybody's
people
busy.
together.
They have
Everybody's
their own things
busy.
going on.
With women, it's a little bit tricky, and it doesn't mean that they don't like you or don't want to spend time with you. We're going to break that down and help you to give you the guidelines around what is usually more successful and things to keep in mind when we go to plan
Yes.
trips and nights out. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and that could maybe just be our experience,
Maybe.
but it does
I feel like it's
everybody's experience. It's
similar
just
thing.
hard to get people all at a time they can all go
Well,
that
there's
works. And
schedules, and then there's just the fact that moms in general will always put their family first.
Yes.
So it feels a little selfish. It
Yes.
feels we have a little mom guilt
yes,
when we take time and spend money and
that's true.
leave home. And so there's got to be a reason for it. So I've kind of put some guidelines in there that we'll get to kind of keep in mind. So first thing, let's talk about a rhythm for like what you can expect, because if you're trying to get together once a week with your girlfriends and you're disappointed, that's probably a little bit too much to ask for,
Yeah.
even at this empty nest phase.
Yes.
Now, if you're doing that, amazing, write into us and
Right.
tell us how that's working for you.
Right.
But I think maybe once a quarter is realistic
Yeah.
for a girls' night out, and once a year for a trip if you're empty nesting. Maybe once every 2 or 3 years if you still got kids in the home.
I would say if you're empty nesting, because neither you nor I are quite there yet, but if you're empty nesting, you're probably getting together with your girlfriends more than once a quarter for a night out.
I hope so.
I would say it's at least once a month.
Yeah,
That
but
would
I'm
be
just
my
saying,
guess.
like the
Yes,
farthest you should go
yes.
should be once a quarter.
But to your point though, last year a friend of mine, and this ties right in, one of my goals was to get together with her once a month. Every 6 weeks, we were going to just read a book and not read the whole book. It wasn't like a book club, but it
This
was
is
more like a
Mhm.
self-development business type book that we were both reading through. And then we were going to get together, have a nice dinner out. It was it's a forced reason to have a dinner out, which was ridiculous that we had to
right.
do that. But there was a reason behind it. And we're both like to do and achieve. And we were both
Yep.
like really
gonna-
full force in our businesses. So we're like, this will be a good way that we can kill two birds with one stone. We can spend time together, but we can feel productive. So anyway,
Yep.
do you know how hard it was for us to get together just once every 6 weeks? It fell apart after 3 months.
Oh my goodness.
We could never get.
Well, that's just it. Schedules get in the way. But if there's 2 people, it kind of falls apart.
Yep.
But if there's more than 2 people, do not wait for everybody's schedules to align. Plan
Yes,
it
because you're not going
anyway.
to.
No, plan it and they will come. Because if you get 2 people there, then
That's
you
2 people more than
have
what you
an
had.
amazing time, and then you spread the word, and then next
Yeah.
time in the next quarter, you'll get 4 people there, and so on and so.
That's
forth.
really smart. Yeah, and maybe that's where we fell short. It was just the 2 of us. If we had a couple other
There you go.
girls, then you could still do it
There
if
you
one of
go.
our schedules didn't match up.
There you go. All right. So getting women to come. So really wise though that you picked up on that, that you had to have an extra reason, right?
That's probably what you're
And it's
getting to.
very true. That is what I'm getting at. So women don't readily take time for that pure enjoyment because we often put our families' needs
Yeah, I
above
feel like
our
we should be doing
own,
something
even though it's
else.
such good self-care to get that love and
Yep.
connection. We need our girlfriends, we need our friends, get together with them. But the way to overcome that obstacle is to combine it with one of these three things. Now, there's probably more. These are the ones that I thought of, that I came up with. Doing a good deed. So I think you said your example was maybe not quite that, but doing a good deed. So it could be in doing something, raising for money for charity. I remember one time we had a ladies' luncheon, which was just a reason to get everybody at somebody's house. And we had, I think we did some shopping, like on like, those pop-up stores that will come
Yep.
to your house and stuff like that. And then we
Oh, yeah.
brought cans for charity.
Yeah.
Okay. But like we also like gave money for charity, and it was something with the school. And
Yep.
so everybody was there willing to support that because of that. And we had a great time. So combining with a good deed or doing something novel. So especially in those girls trips, if you're going to just try to get girls together to just go spend a weekend, it's
That
going to
can
be
be
really
tricky.
hard. But if you couple it with something like, and I don't have a good example for this one, but maybe you can come up with something like that they'll feel accomplished when they leave. So if all of your friends, nobody's seen the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
So that would be an example of something novel,
Well,
but it doesn't have to be that dramatic.
right. Well, we have an example. What we used to do is we were running half marathons.
Yes.
And so there was a group of us. There was like 4 or 5 of us that would train, and then we would fly into a
Yes.
city together, and we'd have the weekend and the half marathon. Now, hold on for a second, because I know you're listening going, I do not want to run a half marathon. That could be, we were talking just, was it last episode, one of the last episodes about hobbies. Maybe that's, you're really into museums. Like you did guys
Yes.
decide that each year you're going to pick a city to
Yep.
explore the art museums or the history or whatever it is, but put a reason behind it. And I will tell you, when it came to us with those half marathons, and you can vouch for it, we did 2 of them.
Two.
And then we were like, that was a lot. Like, we just need to have a weekend just to have a weekend and just go and have fun. We don't need to do the marathon.
But we never did it.
We never did it again.
No, until when we climbed a mountain,
Yes.
right? So proof of my point.
Yes,
That
until
was
we did that
something
hike. That's
novel.
exactly right.
That was something novel. It's something I'd wanted to do to check off my list, climbing a 14er in Colorado.
You had that as a goal.
And I was able to, wrangle you in on that, and Sarah as
And
well.
we fought.
And we, there's a story there.
Story for another day.
Story for another day, but proof of my point. So best intentions
Yes.
don't always win with women.
But that's very true, to just say that you're going to do it just for the sake of doing it. Maybe it's just the phase, because my mom and her friends go now, and they don't need a reason. They're just
No,
going
I
to
love
get
that.
away
Well,
and do something fun.
yeah, because they are in the habit of it.
But yeah, once it becomes a habit, that's
Yes.
easier. Like they go every summer. You know what
Yep.
I mean? So to your point, yes,
Yep.
when it becomes a
So the
habit.
third reason, celebrating a big milestone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh,
that one's the
50th.
easiest one, right? 50th birthday, which maybe we'll talk a little bit about today. Or maybe there's a graduation that you want to celebrate. Your
Yeah.
friend is graduating from school. She went back to school, or a promotion. It really find any reason.
Any reason.
Hint, hint, like make a big deal about somebody else's milestone.
Yep.
If you want to go on a girls trip
Yep.
and plan it, an anniversary, whatever.
And I will tell you, and this might be good timing, because I think we're in maybe July now. We should be in July when this airs, is what I'm saying. If you and or other women that you know are in the summer right now and you have a child that is newly going to college, the perfect
Mm,
reason and time for you to plan a girls' weekend or a girls' overnight is shortly after they leave.
yes, that's a great
Sometime in
point.
September. Think about it now.
That's a
Call them up,
milestone.
get it on. It's a milestone. And I can tell you, as much as I thought I was prepared for Anthony leaving last year, the first two, you were witness to that. I was a disaster the first 2 or 3 months. You probably didn't.
remember
I don't even think you knew how much of a disaster I was. I really, really, really struggled. And it would have probably been good for me to
You probably
break the
held that
cycle and
back
get
from
out.
me.
I think I did. But I don't know that
Which
you
is
could
so
have.
kind of
I
you,
was
but
just,
no, I just meant like,
you had things going on too.
no,
Probably.
I just meant you probably were protecting me because I'll have to go
You're
through
gonna
it.
have to go through it too. Yeah, whatever the case, I'm just saying, like, that would be a really great time. A reason, like you
Yeah.
said, having a reason. Maybe that's not a celebratory reason.
No.
Maybe it's just to pull your head out of
Yeah.
your butt, whatever. But that's a just food for thought. It's a really good time to
Love
do a
it.
trip.
All right. So I had written here another example for the first doing a good deed, because that is a really good one, right? Because you may not always have a milestone. And that's also a good one to get your girlfriends together for a quarterly celebration. You can do some good. So maybe it's like bringing diapers to a potluck, like have a potluck and
Oh yeah,
say, we're going to donate to the pregnancy shelter or the
that's
pregnancy
great.
charity or whatever, or walk a 5K together.
Yep.
We have these, we have the turkey trot here in Omaha, and the St. Patty's Day
Yep.
walk or whatever. Get together, do that. It's so much fun. You
Oh
can
yeah.
walk, you don't
Those
have
are
to
really
run,
festive and
and then
fun.
go to brunch. And
So
usually
good.
they're on holidays, right? So great. Or
Oh,
and then a surprise celebration for friends for something other than a birthday under that milestone category.
amazing. And something else that just came to mind that I've never done and now I think we should do. What
Yes.
about a holiday shopping weekend? How fun would that be?
Ooh, that's good. Where you go and you get your shopping for your family done.
A
How do
little
you get all the
festive?
packages home?
Did you maybe
Sorry.
oh, that's a bummer. Can you ship it
Chip?
from the store, I guess?
Yeah,
Well,
there you go.
first of all, if you're going you and I are both automatically thinking flying because we don't live close enough to drive.
Mm,
But some of you might be able to
there
drive
you
to
go.
a place and meet.
There you go. Love that.
But wouldn't that be fun to
Yep. And
I'm
just
just
pick it
thinking,
all
I mean,
up
this
and
is
take
big,
it
but
home
like
in your
flying
car.
into New York City,
Mhm.
see the lights, have like a day of shopping for the holiday.
Love that.
So anyway, that would be a thought.
I love that. Okay. So the same reasons apply for the night out of the trip,
Hold on, before you go to
especially
trip,
for the trip.
I'm sorry. Can I
Go
say
ahead.
one more thing? Because I
Yes.
mentioned this once on a post, and a lot of women were saying, "What does that even mean?" And then when I explained it, they really liked the idea. A supper club. And you could
Oh,
do that. You could do this with couples too, but you could do this just with girlfriends. I want to do this because I've one of my goals is to start to try new recipes and new really yummy but healthy food. So with this, have you done supper club?
no.
So supper club is again, you could do it couples or just with women. Whatever the case is, each person takes a turn hosting, kind of like a book club. But either it's around a meal and something new, something that you haven't made before, something
Mm.
kind of like fun or
Do you send the
exquisite or
recipes
whatever.
out or the
You
theme? What's the
could you could
theme?
do whatever you want. You could have a theme night, like tonight is French night or whatever it was.
Yep.
And you could all dress in that theme. I mean, you probably wouldn't like that,
Oh,
but that
no,
could
I
be really
would.
fun. You could
Yeah.
decorate in that theme. Um, but either you make the whole whoever's hosting does the whole meal, or whoever's hosting makes the main course, and then everybody brings a
I
dish or
like
a
that.
bottle of wine
And
that
a
go
good
with.
idea.
And you could, to your point, I didn't think about that. You could share the recipes, and now you're tasting something, and you all go home with the recipe. But that's a
Ah,
really it makes it you have to enjoy cooking, right?
definitely
Because for
falls
some of
under
this,
the
it could be like
novel
a chore,
category.
but that could be something you could do once a quarter or
For
even
sure.
every other month.
For sure. And then you could build it around a charity or,
Yeah, I mean, there's
different
all
cuisine.
different
So
types of things you could do
it's
with it.
novel. I love that idea. It's a
Mhm.
good one. Okay. So let's talk about the trip. So those same reasons apply, and they are especially important for trips because you think it's hard to get your girls to leave their house and their families for one night. For a couple of hours, it's really hard to get them to leave for a weekend. I have a group that I have been getting on a call with for, oh gosh, I think it's like 7 or 8 years now.
Mhm.
Can you believe that? And we have taken one trip together.
And you all didn't even go on that trip.
And we all didn't go on the trip. And funnily enough, it was because the first mom had their oldest son leaving the house. So we
Yeah,
planned it around that time, and she's the one that didn't end up coming.
that's right.
That speaks to going ahead and planning something. And if, especially on a trip, you have a tendency to say, well, there's 4 of us, there's 6 of us, and so can't come. Really sorry. You have to catch the next one.
Yeah,
Because if you wait for everybody to come
it's not happening.
you won't go. So
Yeah.
don't miss out just because one person can't attend.
Yep.
So we forged on with it, and we built it around not just that milestone, because if it had been only built around that, guess what? That trip would have fallen apart.
Yep.
We also built it around a concert. It was a novel thing, and it happened to be Shania Twain, and she had a deadline. So she was going to be done, performing in Vegas at such and such a date. So we had to go. We had to go now, or else we were going to
Yeah.
miss it forever.
So good.
So
It's
good.
leverage.
It's leverage.
It's the yeah, right, a reason to do it, a big enough why to get it done, which seems ridiculous because it should be easy to plan
I know.
some time away, but it's not always.
It's not. It's not. I think a lot of women will jump immediately to the spa weekend.
Mhm.
And I think there's a lot of problems with that because,
Oh,
again, well, I do. I think because you're going to be like, it sounds great. And then push comes to shove, you've got to spend all this money, you've got to get flights, you've got to take time. But it's all the same reasons. You're not,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of you out there that go, hey, I go with my friends to the such and such a spa every quarter. And I'm like, I want to know you. I want to hang
Yeah.
out with you guys.
It might just be the season that we're in because the kids are getting ready to
Mhm.
leave and it's just so busy and we're feeling that pull of like we want to spend as much like
Yeah.
to that feels
Time is our
for
limited
us and I'm no
resource.
judgment
Yeah.
on anyone else, but time is very limited and it feels frivolous to just take a weekend to
The
to go to
problem
the
with it.
spa,
I
right?
agree.
But
Unless you connect it to a milestone.
a milestone, yeah,
50th
and
birthday,
yes.
60th birthday.
And I have friends that'll do that a day trip, just a day at the spa or a couple hours at the spa.
That's
If you're not going to
true.
make that in, if you have a nice spot
If
near
you're
you,
lucky enough to have that.
you could have lunch and a glass of champagne and whatever, and then that you still get the benefits, but you're not the
Committing
flight,
to
you're
a
not
whole weekend.
traveling, you're not there the whole weekend. Yep.
Love it. Uh, in the new novel category for trip, climb a mountain. I mean, that certainly got us together.
Hmm.
Hike a difficult trail, see a famous site. Maybe you want to go see the Liberty Bell. Maybe you want to
Hmm.
see the place in Key West, which is the
Southernmost point of
yeah,
the
thank
U.S.
you. Thank you.
That was cool.
Something to cross off a bucket list,
Yeah.
you know?
I'm very into this, and I'm not the learner in the group, you are, but thinking about, like, historical
Yes.
museums or things and places you could see and traveling for that, that would be super f
I know.
I
At
think
this
for
age, we
many of
want to
you, that would be
collect as
fun.
much of that as we can. It
Yeah.
feels like an accomplishment, right?
Mhm.
So find your reason and then put out your invites. Once you do that, I mean, I have just sent out a simple text. You can use Evite. You can do a Facebook group for your trip, a private Facebook group just for your people. But then you run into problems with people not on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
So I find that a simple text to your friends that you're inviting is the best way to do
A
it.
group text.
A group text and but plan an itinerary. So if you want to get all your friends there, let them know what they're going to be doing. And go in and use Canva as an example, or you could just, however you want to do it up.
Yep.
I don't know, some other ways, but make up an itinerary and be thoughtful about what you guys would do and how
Mhm.
you would spend your time over the weekend or week, whatever, however
Yep.
long that way they know there's some structure, that somebody's leading it, but they're not just going to go and be at the, you know, be on the whim of whoever,
Right.
right? And then in that itinerary, build in some time for optional activities. I think that's really important. Build
Mhm.
in some down rest time. Funnily enough, you're getting your women there by accomplishing something, but if you overschedule them, they're
It's
like,
too much.
you're out
Yeah,
too,
right. That's so true.
right? So they're like, oh,
Yeah.
that sounds like a lot of work.
Yes. And by the way, you're speaking from the standpoint of you love to do that, and I'm so lucky because I don't, so
Because
I just
I
get
love
to
to do
go
that.
along and you plan it all and it works for you because you wanna plan it, and I'll
Mhm.
just show up and I don't put necessarily my 2 cents in, so it works for us. But if the thought of that sounds overwhelming to you who are listening, break up the tasks, like, have somebody be in charge of finding the restaurants you're gonna eat at and making the reservations, have somebody else find the hotel that you're all gonna stay at,
Excellent.
like, you can
Excellent
break that
suggestion.
not it doesn't have to be all on one person unless there's someone in your group that enjoys it. This is where knowing each other and your strengths comes really in
That's
handy.
excellent. I remember we did that when we went to Key West and Sarah found the
Right.
restaurants.
We always put Sarah in
I
charge
found
of
the
the
hotel
restaurants.
and
Yep.
yes, so I think that is excellent and keep track on a Google spreadsheet or something just so that it's a little bit
Yep.
organized.
Absolutely.
All right, keep it easy. So if you're picking a place and you want to go to like Glacier National Park or whatever, it's going to be hard for the people from the East Coast to
Mhm.
get there because they're going to have to do 3 flights. So if you have already struggled to get your girlfriends together on a weekend, don't go to see Old Faithful, right? Like
Yes.
so go to Atlanta or go to Miami. Start simple.
Yeah.
Start
Somewhere
easy.
everyone
Go to
can get
Vegas,
to relatively
whatever.
easily.
Yeah. Now again, you might have to build it around an event, a
Yep.
concert or something charity wise,
Mhm.
something to do,
A
but
conference even.
a conference, a Bible
A women's
conference or
right, a
a women's
women's
conference or a
exactly.
speaker you all enjoy or
Mhm.
whatever. That's excellent.
Comedian. There's so many
Comedian,
different ways you could go with that. I think planning it around an event that you really wanna do is a great
smart,
idea.
right? And then you can build a trip into whatever,
Yeah.
just
From
fun,
there you
whatever
can
fun you want to
mhm.
have. But definitely think about those airports and then the cost of flights.
Yes.
I think the time of flying is even more important than the cost of flights at our age, right? For
It
many
is for
people,
me
it's a
because if
consideration for
I'm
me
there
for
and
both, but
exhausted, it's like
yeah,
it's
you
a
don't want to fly
wash.
all day to get
Yep.
somewhere. Um, let's see. And then also think numbers. So if you've got like, you're one of those remarkable relators and you've got like 16 best friends, it's going to be really hard to get dinner reservations. So more than
Can
eight
make it
people is like
tough.
a sweet spot. Six is even better, honestly.
Yeah.
6 or 8, pretty good.
Yep.
But if you start to go higher, you're going to start to have to contact
It
restaurants
gets difficult.
directly and all of that business. So think about that. Stay in our country until you get better at planning. So if you're brand new at this, maybe Italy is not your first
Yep.
trip for your girlfriends. That just seems obvious, but good to
Maybe
point
not.
out. Maybe not. And then recreate a successful trip so you know the experience. So I'm kind of using some of I've done this, as you said,
Mhm.
quite a few times over
Yeah.
the years. It's
Yep.
been a joy of mine. And more than anything, I know that if I don't plan it,
It's
I
not
won't
happening.
go. So we went on a really beautiful Napa trip with with a business group one year. And then it was my husband's 40th. So we're going back a few years now. And we took his friends and we basically did the same trip because I knew those wineries were ones we liked. I knew how to get there. I knew the logistics of it all. Somebody had done the planning before
Yeah.
for me. So just recreate
That was
something
such a
you've
fun trip.
done. That was a good trip. You were there. That's right. Um,
Gee, I guess I'm forgettable.
oh, of course you were there.
That's right. I forgot you were
That
there.
was just such a like radio moment where I was like, oh yes, you were there instead of just me talking to you. But definitely that's just a little tip maybe you wouldn't think of. Send in invites. We talked about that, but definitely send something formal in some way, whether for you that's a text message. If it's a big trip and you're going to have like maybe a big party group or something, even think about building a URL. You can just
Wow,
build a
you're
landing
really
page.
getting
I
into
mean,
it
I've
now.
never done that, but now you can. So talk about
I
using your
I
strengths.
can. And
You're gonna build a URL for our
I don't
trip.
know if that would be a strength. Oh, don't get me on that.
Might not be a perk.
But to your point, if you are planning a bit something big, this, by the way, it doesn't have to be big. It could just be you're driving an hour or two away for the week. I mean, it could be as big or as small, as expensive as inexpensive as you want it, right? But if you are planning something big and you do think that you need a URL website, was what you mean by that. I'm here to tell you that if I can figure it
You're
out,
gonna say,
anyone
I'm here
can.
to do it for you.
And no, I'm not here to do it for you. I'm here to tell you that um the way that the companies that are
Yes.
online now that for website
It's
building,
a
the
lot easier
tools,
than you
it's
would think.
so much easier than you would think. And if
Just
I
you
can
have to
figure
pay
it
for
out,
it.
anyone can
Yeah.
figure it out. You just have to take the time to do it.
Yeah. And that is definitely very advanced thing to do.
Right.
So if you're not already building URLs, maybe don't start there.
No, but it's something to throw out there. And listen, if you're looking for something, somebody might be listening to this who's been feeling stuck or looking for something to
There you
do.
go.
And this
Building
could be like,
URLs for girls
yeah,
trips.
or even exactly. It just for your own friends. Do it once and maybe it catches on. I
I
mean,
love
this could
that.
be something that could take up a significant
Possibilities are
chunk of time to
endless.
plan this trip
Yes.
out and get the website going and get people involved. And, that could be really fun for some women.
Love it.
Mhm.
Okay. So hopefully this is good stuff so far. The last two are just little Dr. Lynn touches.
Oh boy.
I know. Well, they're extra, but I do love a custom gift. I think that especially if it's a milestone and like your girlfriend is turning a certain age or you're celebrating, like I know for your husband when we celebrated his 50, we had like tank shirts with his, picture on them. And so just something that ideally it's something that you can wear. We've
Yeah.
done hats for Portugal. We did.
The hats were
Did we do
great.
something for Iceland? I don't think we did, but
No,
the
we didn't do
custom gift
anything
might have
for
come along lately. But do something, ideally something that can be worn on the trip.
Yeah. Or
because I don't know if
use.
you remember that, but we often would wear our hats, maybe some on the same day, or we just it's good
For the
because you
Portugal
feel,
trip?
yeah, I feel
Oh
like
my
it
gosh, that was
binds
amazing.
you together and just reminds you that you're all on a trip together, and
Yeah.
it's also a keepsake that you'll have.
Yeah. I mean, that was such a good, and we were going on Anthony's senior trip. So you had hats made with the name of his college. So we all
Yes.
had Hobart hats, which was really fun. What was the, forgive me, because I should remember this, but also it was almost 10 years ago. So give me a little grace. But you had, I remember it was a really cool little gift you had at Mark's 40th. And it had something to do, was it wine stoppers? Because it had something to do with wine because we
Mm,
were doing the wine tasting. And I remember it was
probably.
so cool.
Yeah, I don't
I
remember.
think it was wine. I feel like it was crystal wine stoppers
Yes.
with a date or something on top or an
Yes.
initial.
Yeah. So yeah, build it around the trip. So that was wine tasting.
Right. It doesn't have to be even
Hmm.
something you could wear, but just
Yep.
something that has to do with that. It is a fun touch.
Yes,
It's
I do.
kind of,
I love a custom gift.
and by the way, you were talking about Kenny's, we had his 50th, and that was less, I mean, Mark's was
Oh,
a big, that
that
kind of,
it
because
was
COVID was,
2020.
it was weird, but it was just like, basically we had all the kids and the families and DeMartinos were with us. But this just came to mind. It's a little off topic, but I have to throw it out there because this is something you could also do as well. We did that. You had the tank tops made, which were awesome, but you also took it upon yourself to get that poster board.
Oh yeah.
It makes me want to cry. And it was 50 things we love
Well, we
about
were
Uncle
supposed to
Kenny.
be in Vegas, whooping it up.
I know. And
And
it
we
got
were
canceled.
at indoors because, parties of 15 or more
Yeah.
in Massachusetts
It
were like
was,
not even allowed and things like
we just
that.
had to make the best of the
So you guys
situation.
remember those times. Yeah. So yeah.
So she had this, you had this, you got a huge poster board that was like one of those trifolds if you're going to do a
Hmm.
presentation, and it was 50 things we love about Uncle Kenny, and all of the adults and the kids. And
Filled them out.
I just, and it makes me want to cry because I just pulled that back out because I saved it and we're moving, so I'm going through all my stuff, and that is not going in
I
the
was going to
trash
say, don't
pile.
throw that away.
No, that's, I'm keeping it so
Or take a
sweet.
picture and throw it away.
Yeah. No, I maybe I will do that, but it's just those are things like those types
Yeah.
of touches, if you can bring them in, they're very meaningful for the
Yes.
other person. I know that really touched Kenny too,
Yeah.
so
I
that's
mean, we could probably
amazing.
do a whole nother episode on like planning a milestone birthday for your
Mhm.
friend and how to celebrate them well. Another thing that I loved about that was those fun firework candles. Remember those? I mean,
Oh, I
they
have
were,
a video of that.
yeah, they were
And
so
we
fun.
had
We all,
go shorty, it's your birthday, and you're dancing.
we all had the tank tops on over our like long sleeve
Yeah,
shirts and stuff. And
that
then
was fun.
last but not least, so after the custom gift, but take pictures, a lot of them, or sign. This is where, somebody in your group who's always on their
Yep.
phone taking selfies, assign them to take lots and lots and lots of pictures, send them to you, and then make a photo book of your trip and send it out after. That
I know
is
Mark
such a
does that.
great touch.
By the way, we never got a Portugal
No,
photo
he's
book.
behind on his photo books.
He's busy.
He's
I
been
so he
busy.
didn't forget.
So he
Sorry.
hasn't
So,
forgotten. He will
side
get to
note,
it.
um, Dr. Lynn's husband Mark has been doing this for your family for years,
Yes, and
and
it's
then after
so
the Iceland trip, he did it and gave it to us for Christmas
so
because our
wonderful.
families travel
Yep.
together, and it is amazing to have that.
And it reminds you why you want to do that trip again. So
Yeah,
that's the fun part, because when you leave that trip with a bunch of women and you might get off the plane and be like, oh, I'm glad I'm home. That was a lot. But then you get the pictures and you go, oh, that was so fun.
yeah,
And then you pull them out and you go, I want to do that again.
yeah. And by the way, that's equally, if I mean, because you do that with families, but I'll just say that when Karen was alive, her last couple years, she was doing girls trips left. She was living her life, making the most of it. And she has photo books that she had made like on Shutterfly from her what they did a trip to the Hamptons, her and like four ladies. And it's so we have it now.
Oh,
But
so it
you
gets
know that
passed
so
down.
definitely you could do that with your girls
I
too,
love
with
that.
her girls trip. So
Love that.
that's a great idea. I'm glad that you shared
This
that.
was a lot of fun to talk about.
Yes, I
Super
want to
fun.
do a podcast because your 50th is coming up.
Yeah.
And we're going to Newfoundland, and we need to do a whole podcast just focused on
Mm,
planning that big birthday event.
mm. Nobody,
Doesn't
no,
have to be a
ain't
50th, it
nobody
could be
has
any.
time for that.
Yeah, they're gonna wanna hear that. That's gonna be an amazing trip.
It is going to be fun. It is going to be fun.
Yes, but the perfectionist that you are planning your own trip because you know how you want it to go, and nobody else can do it as good.
And also it's, no, it really isn't that. It's just, again,
It won't happen.
yeah. So I want to do this. I basically told you all I'm going with or without you. To me, it's the most beautiful place in the world. And I really want them to have the gift of seeing that and being there with me to do that.
Yeah.
If you want to come, I love it. If not, that's okay too. And I know you'll be there
Of course, I'm not
and
missing
some
that.
of my other, our other great friends. And yeah, so we can talk about how we planned that and how we made it special. Some of our tips at dinner,
Yep.
going around and when it's somebody's
Oh, yeah.
birthday,
Yeah,
which
we
we've
should
talked
do
about
that in
that
another
before.
episode.
Yeah.
But to your point,
Ways to make memories and things stand
right,
out.
to make it
Nights
even
stand out.
more
Yeah.
memorable. And as we wrap up, I'll just say there's another example because I've been trying to get back with you to Newfoundland, your home country, for how long? Home
Oh,
province, sorry.
forever.
Forever. And finally, because it's your 50th birthday and we planned it around the 50th
Yeah.
birthday, we're going. It never
Now, in
happened before
fairness
then.
to you, it's not the easiest place to get to in the world. So,
No, and our just but to your point, your schedule, my schedule, the
yeah.
family schedules, it never happened. But now
Yep.
that you're turning 50, it's revolving around that 50th, or we may not still get there for some time. So anyway, have
Exactly.
a reason, plan it around an event.
Have a
So
reason.
ladies, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. Let us know about the girls' trips that you're taking or the girls'
Yes.
nights out or any fun ideas that you might have. If you do a supper club, let us know about the recipes. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok and www.lifeafterkids.com. Cheers to spending time with your girls.
Yes. Go plan a night out. Go
Mhm.
plan a trip.
Make some
Make it
memories.
happen.